We've all heard about the not in my backyard syndrome to describe popular opposition to unwanted projects. The people of Granville County have gone a step further. They've bought the backyard.
Hundreds of Granville County people who turned out today to try to keep state surveyors off the proposed incinerator site.
The company hired to keep North Carolina in the hazardous waste disposal game has decided to take its ball and go home.
So good afternoon to everyone. Okay, now you hear me. Very good. So I'm here with Gooch, Chairman of the Granville County Board of Commissioners, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome each of you to this historic occasion, the grand opening of Granville Athletic Park at the Jonesland Environmental Preserve. We consider each of you very special, and you are our distinguished guests. We are delighted and thrilled that you have chosen to join us and participate in this celebration. This new athletic park, these 48 acres of land represent many hours of applied technical skills, knowledge, collaborative effort on many individuals. This park is the reality of a vision of our commitment to continue strive to improve the quality of life of the 50,000 plus citizens that call Granville County home. Many of you present here today have been a part of the dream and vision. We know that this park will not only benefit present citizens, but unborn children and young parents and who choose to rear their family in Granville County will be major benefactors. So again, thank you for coming and do plan to make maximum use of this facility. So early in the preliminary design and planning stage of this project, the other board members named Commissioner Lumpkin and myself as facilitators with the staff to oversee the development and completion of the project. But you need to know that there has been total board support for this project since day one. And with that said, we will now have a few remarks from each of the commissioners. Two commissioners could not be with us this afternoon because of prior commitments, Commissioner Ron Allengood and Commissioner Annette Miles. We'll go down the list. We'll start with Commissioner Avery. Commissioner Avery.
I too would like to thank each one of you here today. This has been a day we've been looking for a long time. And I just want to welcome each one of you here. There's been a lot of hard work done here in this place. And a lot of you know where it was beginning from when back years ago what they were planning to put here. And some of the folks got that turned around and they let the county have it, and we've made good use out of it. And thank all of you again for coming.
It is my pleasure to greet all of you today. I'm so happy that I can stand here at this place and say that we're excited about what will take place, and thank everyone for all of their efforts to make this possible. Since I've been on the Board of Commissioners, there have been times when I would just hope that people in certain audiences would not bring up the subject of available recreational opportunities because I knew we were not where we needed to be. Well, today, I look forward to that discussion. In fact, I welcome it, and I hope someone will bring up the recreational opportunities. And I know it didn't just happen. I know it happened as a result of a lot of hard work. So I'm just so grateful to you for all you did, and I'm thankful that you could come today to be a part of this celebration. And I look forward to seeing you on the walking trail sometimes. Enjoy yourself.
I'd like to welcome you to beautiful downtown Belltown. While all of us represent all of Granville County, I'm pleased to be elected out of District 3, which this sits in District 3. And I want to thank any of the neighbors that are here today for your support in this operation, your support in letting us be a part of your community. And you know, it's just been really nice from the very beginning that the people in the community came out and had some concerns, wanted to know what it was about, but felt good about it, and have been very, very supportive of the efforts of our board and other people that have come to make this a reality. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Most of the time when you get a group of people together this size, we have opinions about various different things. But I don't think anybody that's here this afternoon will disagree that thank God for shade, thank God for the tents, and thank God for that picnic shelter over there, because we thought we would, when we planned this, that we would have a nice springtime day, but it worked out, it's intruding into summertime, but nevertheless, we're here. It is a special occasion, and we certainly thank you for being here and taking your time out on a Friday night to be here to celebrate with us. Thank you for being here as we celebrate the grand opening of the Granville Athletic Park. And one thing I'd like to emphasize, that the Tar River does not divide this park at all in any shape, form, or fashion. It is simply for the people. It is simply for the people of Granville County, and we hope that we can pursue it, and it will remain that it will be your park for you to use when you want to use it, if it's all possible. We have attempted to have a family park here, a park that will fit your need as well as your family's need. Thanks to all who has helped to make this day a reality, especially the Jonesland Committee, and we'll hear about them and recognize them a little bit later. And John Pike, I'd have to share this with you. That stock that I bought a few years ago for $5, I think it has appreciated a whole lot as we look at the facility that's over here now. Thank you.
Thanks to my fellow commissioners. As I first stated, there were a lot of people involved in this, a lot of collaboration, and at this time we will have comments from 3 individuals representing 3 different entities that were involved. We will start with Attorney John Pike, representing the Jonesland Board, Mr. Mike Warren, who served as chairman of the Granville County Board of Commissioners during those turbulent days when the fight was going on about the use of this land and about a facility trying to locate in Granville County that we did not want in our beautiful county. And then Mrs. Eleanor Fowler, who serves as chairman of the Granville County Athletic Advisory Committee. So with that said, Mr. Pike.
Thank you, folks. I consider it an honor to be here. I consider whatever efforts I've made in the past to be minuscule compared to the efforts of the Commissioner and Dudley Watts, and particularly Mr. Alligood, Dewitt Bowden, Barbara Jones, and the heroes of the future are the people like Jason Falls who are going to have to take care of this place in an organic fashion. So those people are the heroes now and will be the heroes of the future. I don't know how many of y'all were here or were of age in 1989, but I'm going to relate a little bit of what happened. In 1989, thank you, sir. I'm not real good at making speeches. I'm pretty good at raising hell, but I'm not. And this thing is such a, it's in my heart so much that I get emotional about it. So bear with me if you would. But in 1989, in the early spring of 1989, the state of North Carolina and a company called Thermal Chem announced a plan to build a hazardous waste incinerator pursuant to a Southeast Compact somewhere in North Carolina. They chose a dozen sites, or they said they chose a dozen sites, and then they sort of picked through those dozen sites and settled on one here, and I think one in Rowan County. We found out about it through the news media, and it just outraged us. You know, I'm frightened by incineration of hazardous waste, but I'm even more concerned about the degradation of the lifestyle that we had and have in Granville County. You know, we didn't deserve that. We never deserved it then, and we certainly wouldn't deserve it at any point in the future. But we were outraged, and my wife Priscilla and I thought about it and talked it over and decided we wanted to try to do something to mess up their budget. I happen to know the people that own this land, the Jones people, because I had represented them in getting this part divided off from the larger area for their family. I decided that we formulated a plan to buy the land and to try to sell it in a large number of undivided interests. We made the commitment. We went to Adams Tobacco Company as a matter of coincidence and asked them if they'd lend us $70,000. and we contacted the Joneses and asked if they'd be interested in selling the property. So all that in mind, I took off a couple of days and rented a couple of rooms up in New Jersey. I can't even remember the town, but it was a foreign land to me. But I went up there and I met with these wonderful people and told them what we proposed to do and what we hoped to do. I gave them my personal guarantee that we would protect their family cemetery and treat the land with dignity and respect. I bought the land, came back home, recorded the deed, and told a few friends what I planned to do on Monday morning. This was, I think, Memorial Day weekend. My wife reminded me it was Memorial Day weekend. I just spread the word. Well, that was on a Friday or a Saturday. It seemed like before I got the words out of my mouth, there were 200 people lined up outside my office, ready to give me $5 for a 170,000 undivided interest in this property. And it was just bedlam. It was absolute, marvelous, magnificent, joyous bedlam from that point for the next 3 or 4 weeks. We sold, we drew deeds constantly for 8 to 10 hours a day. My wife, my secretary, volunteers from all over the place sat in the thing and took people's money and drew deeds, and we recorded deeds. We didn't record the first one until we had several thousand names on it because we didn't want to give the state a heads up to where they could do something to stop us. We recorded the first deed and it just exploded. We had national news media attention. At least 5 different times the national media came down and did interviews and talked to people. We ended up with over 10,000 owners, a number of whom are probably here tonight. I suspect almost everybody in this crowd owns one of those appreciated interests. One interest, by the way, is just large enough to bury you on, so I hope you don't do that. I own a cemetery north of town. I wish you'd patronize. But we sold interests to people in all 50 of our United States, in at least 12 foreign countries, and the reality at that point, I think Thermal Chem and the state of North Carolina knew that the game was over in Granville County, or at least at this site in Granville County. And I don't want to get past my topic, but it became pretty obvious at that point that they didn't give a damn about 10 or 12 sites. The only one they wanted was in Granville County because they took off down the road to Butner, which was ludicrous. But there again, I get emotional about it. They didn't go back to any of those other sites. They went to Butner. And thank God, and I think the real value of Jonesland, outside of what these wonderful people have done to present to you today, the real value was that it mobilized the entire community of Granville County to not only fight it here in Raleigh, but in Butner and anywhere else in the state of North Carolina. And that was the extraordinary value. They've got some exhibits over there of all that NAT and GROW and all the civic organizations did. People were prepared to go to jail if that was what was necessary. And I want to make this point to you, and I mean this sincerely, because Jonesland was the easy part. Jonesland required $70,000 and the help of a bunch of people to draw deeds. The hard part came after that. The hard part came with fighting the battles in the legislative buildings, going to the site review committee, Harvey Spur and people that were on the site review committee. I mean, those people worked 2, 3, 4 nights a week in meetings and then went home and did more. That's where the hard work was. The hard work that got us before the Council of State and kept them out of Butner. So Jonesland is magnificent. It's a great story. But the hard work is those people that are the real heroes. And I'm gratified, very gratified that this has happened. Jonesland, again, my intent was to keep it preserved. And this is as close to preserving it in its natural state as I think we could ever come, and allow it to be used by all of the citizens of Granville County. And that's extraordinarily gratifying. That's a dream come true for me. The other aspect of it, and I encourage this for y'all, is we ask that they do 3 things. We ask that they maintain and respect the cemetery of the Jones heirs, because that's a story in itself. We ask that they not clear cut the timber. Now, some of the timber's been cut, but you know, if it weren't for these trees, it would be at least 5 degrees hotter tonight. So we've asked them to preserve the natural woodland areas, and they've done a wonderful job of that. We also asked them to preserve it organically, to not use some of the chemicals and pesticides and herbicides that are used in normal agriculture. And those are the next heroes. The next heroes are Jason McValls, who's going to have to pick all the damn weeds. And you know, my opinion is, and I'm going to end with 2 things. The first is that organic responsibility, environmental responsibility is a great marketing tool. We can sell Granville County as an environmentally friendly county, and we need to use that. The last thing I want to mention is one of the great heroes in this whole event, and by the grace of God, he happened to be the chairman of the county commission. Your next speaker is Mike Warren, and I'd like to introduce him to you.
Let us learn a valuable lesson from this crisis. Because united we are strong, divided we are not. You can believe that. We must believe that. I would like to thank the many citizens from across North Carolina who have offered their resources and expertise. I would like to thank our Site Designation Review Committee. Most importantly, I would like to thank our commissioners and the citizens of Granville County for the stand in which you are taking. You are our most valuable resource.
1989, I was in a whole lot hotter spots than this one, I can tell you that right now. You can believe that. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Jason said I could have as much time as I wanted, so I'm going to start when I was in the 5th grade. When I was in the 5th grade, my mother had kidney disease. I was living in Oxford, and I had moved to rural Pitt County on a farm with my grandmother, an aunt, and uncle, and enrolled in Stokes School, which is a rural community about 8 miles from Granville. Things got kind of tight for Mom in the hospital, so my grandmother would make me shirts out of feed bags. Some of the older ones out there may remember those the cloth, but she'd make those shirts out of it. I never forget when I wore the first shirt to school. All the rural kids knew what that shirt was made out of. I had a fight at least 10 times that day, and went on home with that shirt, and I was fighting for my pride and Grandma's. Little did I know, about 40 years later, I was going to be honored again, just like my grandma honored me with that shirt. And the honor was I was selected to represent the people of Granville County and elected by the board to serve